Apologies, I got delayed. The revised estimates volume 2019 set out total net voted expenditure for the year of €53.9 billion. On budget day, the requirements for a number of supplementary estimates for 2019 were set out in the 2020 expenditure report. The total amount proposed in respect of the substantive supplementary estimate amounts to €634 million. This amount is below the €660 million estimate required set out on budget day and reflects certain minor expenditure developments in the intervening period. In total, 13 substantive supplementary estimates and 4 technical supplementary estimates are required for 2019. As set out in the expenditure report of 2020, there will be a 100% Christmas bonus for social welfare recipients in 2019. Approximately €157 million of this amount will be paid for from the Social Insurance Fund. This element will not require a supplementary estimate. However, a supplementary estimate of €100 million is required by the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection in order to meet the exchequer element of the bonus. The Justice vote requires supplementary estimates of €51 million in total. Of this, €17.5 million is required in the Garda vote, arising as a result of security costs associated with the visits of President Trump and Vice President Pence. Further to this, just over €33 million is required on the Justice and Equality departmental vote due to pressures relating to asylum seekers' accommodation. The 2020 expenditure report set out the requirement for an additional €335 million in the health sector in 2019. In addition to this, the amount being provided today also includes a further €3 in respect of the Brexit-related health infrastructural costs. The additional funding being provided for today accounts for 2% of the original overall net allocation for 2019. In comparison, a 4.4% increase above the original overall net allocation was provided to the health sector last year by way of a supplementary estimate. Also, in relation to Brexit, a supplementary estimate of €4 million is being required is being provided to revenue to meet costs arising related to Brexit infrastructure at the ports and Dublin Airport. The Department of Agriculture will also receive a supplementary estimate of just under €20 million, primarily in respect of Brexit infrastructure. In addition to this, the reallocation of resources in the vote will ensure that all expenditure pressures, inclusive of the Rural Development Programme, are provided for. It is expected that this amount will be offset by higher than anticipated EU receipts. Also set out in the Expenditure Report 2020, there are a number of pressures on the education vote, necessitating a supplementary estimate of €68 million for 2019. This relates primarily to pay and pension pressures as well as school transport costs. As in previous years, the increase in the Defence Folk group ceiling required to accommodate the supplementary estimate for army pensions is expected to be offset by underspends elsewhere in the Defence Folk group. There are a number of other substantive supplementary estimates required, including €21 million for the Department of Finance in relation to the settlement of aviation-related legal costs, as well as €10 million of additional funding across the Departments of Transport, Tourism and Sport. The Office of the Chief State Solicitor requires a supplementary estimate of €5 million due to higher than anticipated legal fees arriving from a number of long-running court cases. There are also pressures arising in the Department of Children and Youth Affairs in relation to the Child and Family Agency requiring a supplementary estimate of €15 million. Due to pressures on both pay and non-pay administrative costs, an additional amount of €0.47 million is required by the Public Appointment Service. Finally, a number of technical supplementary estimates are required for the year. This includes for Vote 12 superannuation and retired allowances. This is required to provide for potential additional costs relating to the public service pension of €5 million that will be offset by additional receipts. Other technical supplementary estimates were required by the Business, Enterprise and Innovation, Communications, Climate Action and Environment, and Foreign Affairs and Trade votes. As is usual, it is expected that there will be savings in some areas across the system, which will partially be offset by the supplementary estimates. The additional expenditure provided by way of the supplementary estimate amounts to 1.2% of the net voted expenditure allocation for the year. This represents a responsible approach towards ensuring that the public services are adequately funded to meet the Government's key social and economic objectives of protecting the vulnerable in society and creating the conditions to support the growth in employment.
I inject the Pierce Doherty.